2.
Okay. I'm getting all my mise en place.
All right.
Mr. Karls, you posted the YouTube link.
We are officially live. And I will send the YouTube link to my classroom.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. This, so you guys gotta not come and bug me. Tell me one thing. No, because I need the internet for this. Okay, so you gotta wait. Okay, Lily, you gotta go change your clothes.
And I'll send it to all of you guys. Should I not put Tom on there?
Okay.
Just kidding, just kidding.
I don't know. Like you already got in trouble today.
Eric called me and I was
YouTube. Okay, I sent it to you guys. And then,
Is nobody else coming in?
was there somewhere else I was supposed to send it?
I can just watch it on YouTube if I'm the only one over here.
No, we need you for your comment.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean into the live studio audience.
So that's me. Okay.
That's
cool.
you. I'm gonna ask you questions, and hopefully, I think Katie's gonna show up too. So yeah, I need you
No.
here.
You should all go live, or you should go to the live YouTube channel, everyone, and then you can at least see the comments as well.
Yeah, I'll be moderating comments too. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be.
You
Yeah,
sent the link in our email, Eric?
I just sent it. Yep.
Okay.
So when you get there, just make sure you mute the YouTube. Otherwise, it's gonna like do some crazy
Oh, I
feedback.
see. Okay.
So we'll start at like 11.
Okay. I'm gonna post this link on my classrooms.
Or you should go to the live YouTube channel, everyone.
Okay, hold on.
I'm on it. Ooh, it's a weird delay. Okay, I muted it.
Whoops, that's not the link.
I kind of want to sign in with my phone as well, so I can get like an extra YouTube angle.
Like they were on that together at home thing. They all had like separate cameras and that's kind of cool.
Well, that is cool. Okay, post. Okay, and Eric, you want you and me to go to that one too?
On YouTube?
Yeah.
I would just go to it so you can see the comments.
Okay. I'm gonna be cooking, so I'm probably not gonna like care. Just because I'm cooking.
That's fair.
All right, we got 2 already. It looks like.
Party, 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 party.
Hey, come on, Carolyn, give me some faith here.
All right, I'm loading on the YouTube live. I'm gonna be cooking, so I'm probably not gonna like care. Just because I'm cooking.
Yeah, let's mute that.
I just muted myself.
That's good.
On
That's good.
the YouTube. This delay is very bizarre.
Yeah, that's right, Nick. Thanks, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. How many got?
Eric,
5 in here. We'll be starting at 11 o'clock sharp.
Okay. I have to have the Zoom and the YouTube up at the same time because it's too weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna need more coffee. Actually, that's what I'm gonna go do.
To victory.
Miss Grob, hope you're ready for the best part of my dress up today.
Nice short. That's funny.
Okay. Let the cooking begin. Carolyn, I got your mug for good luck.
Hey, what is this good luck mug? What is that? Let me see.
I actually don't need any luck. I knew she'd be watching, so she bought this for me. She's the best.
That's it. I'm getting my good luck mug.
All right. This is called a knife sharpener, Eric. You might want to utilize one.
There it is.
This is Koss has all the like equipment.
Yeah, that's right. Got my lucky mug.
Oh, look at all these lovely people joining us on the YouTube.
How many do we have?
5, it looks like.
Hey Seth, how pumped were you when we got a comment from a famous YouTube subscriber?
Around 250,000 stinking. Yeah, that was insane.
I feel like somebody was definitely messing with us because that video was complete garbage. And
Yeah.
It was
Have you
pretty funny. I was cracking up a few times.
have you seen other things that are on the internet? Just wondering,
Right.
Live. All right. Feeling good. We're excited.
it'd be awesome if we could get Mr. D or Mrs. Wolff on, or I'll text Mr. D.
Okay. I believe I am ready.
All right. Giddy up.
Garlic, onion. Are you, Karls, I'm a little concerned. You're not anything ready.
Hey, the greatest part about this entire thing is going to be watching me make a fool of myself on camera. So.
That's correct. That is accurate.
Also, all I need is one thing, Mrs. Koss. Just
Love.
one.
Cast iron. That's all I need.
Are you boiling noodles in that too? Just wondering.
Good one, Ashley.
Yeah, you're right. I should probably get my noodles in the big pot.
I am gonna try to help you a little bit.
I don't want any comments from you, Mrs. Koss, right? If I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail on my own terms.
Well, I'll let that happen. 'Cause I'm just fine with that.
Hey, we'll have you know that somebody personally emailed me and they said, "Yo, Mr. Karls, I'm rooting for you." Thank you, whoever just sent that.
They,
I
they
can't say
know,
your name. It sounds like you want to be anonymous.
they know that you need that. So
Well, yeah. Mr. Hirshkorn, should I put on my hood again too?
Well, because we're not at school, it's not a violation of any handbook rule. So I see no issue with you dressing how you desire, other than the potential of upsetting the actual professional chef in this competition.
we already had a conversation about strings. We already had a conversation about your hat. So I'm just saying, remind me to not eat anything Eric cooks. P.S.
Hey, I wash my hands with water.
You wash your hoodie and your hat also, because
And some soap, sometimes, not all the time. Oh, Q's on. We gotta get Q in here. Oh no, he's gone now.
He's here. He's not here.
Oh, there he is. Woo, Q.
There's another person in the audience.
You're muted, Q.
Audience members, please know I might be muting you during the competition so that the competitors can not only throw shade at each other, but also inform us about their lovely cooking techniques.
What are we cooking, guys, folks?
spaghetti and meatballs.
Spaghetti and the meatball.
Meet the bows.
Meatball.
Okay.
All right, I need to open some
How about
slides
putting it
real
like-
quick.
There.
All
No,
right.
it's not so
Yeah.
bright.
We got like 2 minutes.
Thank you, too.
All right, we have a bunch of people in the Facebook or the the YouTube chat here. We've got Aaron Tucker, Olivia McGrail, hello everyone, Jenna Zahn, Allison Paramore, Zarek's in here, my boy Nick Arbia, Kiera Lynn. Hello everybody, great to see you.
Hey, Mr. Hirshkorn,
Yes, sir.
can you mute people without being the host?
Let me test it. Nope.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm gonna make you the host. You ready?
Will it stay on YouTube live?
I hope so.
Okay, cool. I think it stayed up.
Okay, you're the host.
Great. T-minus 1 minute.
So this is Lily.
Hi.
Hey, Lily.
Competing against Mr. Karls. Remember him?
Yeah.
Hey, Lily.
Huh.
Who's a better cook, me or your mom?
Mom.
She knows
Glad
the
I would have at least one vote.
Favorite cook, Mom or Mr. Karls? Ah, 2 votes.
Come on.
Think I spelled that right.
I'm ready, Karls.
Hey, we have Allison Paramore, a high schooler in here. Wow.
I posted it on my my FCCLA page, so hopefully they
yeah.
can come in.
So they
All
better-
right, ladies and gentlemen,
You guys go.
the bewitching hour is upon us. Welcome to the 2020 Cookoff, hosted by me, Mr. Hirshkorn. We have a cook-off between Mr. Karls today and Mrs. Koss. Now, if you tuned in last week, you saw that Mr. Karls and I made a video hyping this just a little bit. Then I had to take Mrs. Koss aside because she could not represent herself that day because of illness. But today, I have to play the non-biased host. So today, we have a spaghetti cook-off between the two of them. I will share my screen for you, and we will take a look at the rules here in just a moment. The rules are as follows. Both will work with the ingredients within their home to make spaghetti. Now, we have some rules for this too. The rules are as follows. Number 1 is our aesthetics test. One image that students can vote. I don't know what that means. What does that mean, Mr. Karls? Like, how does it look? Oh,
How
I see.
yeah.
pretty it is.
I got you. Okay. So plates, how you plate the food, how it looks is going to be one category for judging. Ultimately, I'm not sure who's going to be doing some of this judging. Maybe you guys in the YouTube chat can help us with that. The quickest one done wins the category of time. Hang on, allow me to let in some more people. Welcome in, Mr. Klasna. Thank you for joining us today. Now, so time, the quickest one done wins this category. All right. And so the other person will have time to finish their dish, but quickest one done wins that one. And then we also have a reaction test from their children. On the rules, it says their kids are eating tacos. That's obvious a lie. We're doing spaghetti today. Now, are either one of you going to be doing a side dish with your spaghetti today, Mr. Karls or Mrs. Koss?
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why not?
great. Well, good. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for quite the cook-off. So if my contestants are ready, I want to give them a few minutes just to be able to maybe talk about their dish today or potentially throw some shade at the other contestants. So first we'll go to Mr. Karls. We'll start with you today.
Well, thank you. Can I play Seth?
That's fine. That's
Okay. Thank you, Seth. Thanks.
You're very
thanks for hosting this, by the way. This is
fine.
It's fantastic. I just want to say thank you to all of you YouTubers and all of you fantastic people for coming and joining us. None of this can be made possible without you. And so, I mean, it's very important to me, not just about the cooking. That's always second, okay? The people are what is most important to me. So, yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. I see Mr. Klasna is on. He's actually on a business call on the other end as well. So thank you, Mr. Klasna, for joining. I guess my only comments is cooking is from the heart and it's from the nose. So when you're cooking, if your heart feels like it's going to enjoy it and your nose doesn't tell you no, go for it. So if you smell it and it smells good, and you're thinking to yourself, that seems like something my mama would have made back in the day, do it. That's all I got.
Well, Mr. Karls, thank you so much for the worst advice in culinary history. Mrs. Koss, do you have anything to say now in response to Mr. Karls this morning?
I fell asleep about 3 minutes ago into his whatever. So I'd just like to say that we all know cooking is about knowledge of skill and practice, and don't eat something if it smells good. Those of you that have had my class, we talk about this every year, every semester with vanilla flavoring. So I'm just going to go with that as an example of Mr. Karls' limited knowledge of cooking. So I'm also want to point out, I have been asking Mr. Karls for the last 10 minutes to please follow safety and sanitation procedures, which we all know are paramount when it comes to cooking. And he has flat out refused to remove his hat or tuck his hoodie strings in. So we're just going to go there.
Wow. Wow. Well, it seems, ladies and gentlemen, we have already started the heat between these two. Now what we should see if they can heat up a dish for us, and we can see how they do
just
today.
for a
So,
second,
oh, go ahead.
Hirshkorn,
Oh, yeah. Let's turn to the live audience real quick. Don't forget, people, I will be watching your comments and monitoring in the chat section. I'll do my best to respond. But we also have a live studio audience today to take in this competition. Let's go to the audience real quick. We got Miss Grob, Mr. Klasna, and of course, Mr. Staton. Any comments from the three of you today?
Yeah, hey, I find it kind of weird. You know, did Mrs. Koss buy a new house just for this?
Yes.
I think so, honestly.
That is one of the rumors flying around.
Wow,
Exactly.
that's interesting. Okay, I was just curious about that. Okay,
Exactly.
so this has like been a months-long planning thing.
Over a month, Gordon. Over a month.
So, like conspiracy theory people out there are wondering what's going on with this. She actually had to find a house with the specific, instead of just buying the stove to do this, she bought the house with the stove in it.
Well, I don't know what I'm smelling. It's not spaghetti yet, but I smell someone in the corner of Team Karls already. So this is getting good.
Hey,
Mr. Staton, to you.
I'm a fan of a good plate of sketty.
He likes some sketty. Mr. Staton, what do you got for us today?
You know, I would just like to say, I do see a couple microwaves in the videos there. I imagine those will not be being used today, right, folks?
Well, this isn't Applebee's, Mr. Staton.
Probably on Karls.
Yeah,
Probably on
bingo.
Karls then.
I used to be a cook myself, and so I would highly advise of not using the microwaves. And I would just like to say this: as much as I absolutely love both of you, actually, it would be a real shame for the facts teacher to go down by the counselor in this competition. That's all I got to say.
Yes. That would
There is
be
no doubt in my mind.
shameful. Shameful. Miss Grob, what do you got for us today?
Oh, you all know I'm rooting for my BFF, Mrs. Koss.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, real quick for me in the comment section, tell us who you're rooting for. I see a couple out there for Mr. Karls, a couple for Miss Koss. It looks like our live studio audience is split between the two. Mr. Klasna in the corner of Karls, Dana Grob in the corner of Mrs. Koss, and of course, Q Staton just asking people not to use microwaves, which he seems like the neutral vote.
Well, we're going
All
for
right.
Karls. We're going
It is
for Karls.
11:07 a.m. And here, that is a vote for Mr. Karls. Here we go. It is 2 against 1. And again, I'm sorry I cannot take a side. I am but your humble host. Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin our competition with a 10-second countdown. 10, 9, just kidding. Go.
All right.
Go. Here we are. Oh. It looks like first thing first, Miss Koss here is going for the noodles. Probably get those on a nice boil and get them cooked. Mr. Karls looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. This is a great start for him. A fantastic start to see what he is doing. Over the comments section in YouTube here, we got someone talking about eating earthworms after what Mr. Karls said. Of course, great advice, Mr. Karls. Sienna, hello. It's nice to see you. Emily, great to see you as well. What else we got in here? Mr. Karls is going to straight up drink the vanilla from Christian Dean. Let's hope that's not the case today. I would hate to see that reaction. All right. Here we go. I hope you're doing well. Here we go. Here's some votes coming in hot, people. All right. We have a vote from Dylan from Mrs. Koss. I think Sienna Wilkins just voted for herself to win this, but she's not a part of this. Zarek Joyce, you voted for Mr. Karls. Christian, Mrs. Koss. Nick Arbia, Mr. Koss. Mr. Karls. Aaron Tucker, Mr. Karls. Wow, you guys are really, really believing in the skills of Mr. Karls today.
Can I give a little piece of advice here?
Yeah, go ahead, Noodles.
All right, so when you bring your water to a boil and you're cooking your noodles, noodles taste great by themselves, but a small trick I learned when I was in someone's house was crack the noodles in half, and then add a little salt to your water. So the salt, it attaches to the noodles a little bit, and it gives it a little good flavor. And then you pour some olive oil in there.
I thought you did that before you boiled it.
That is correct, Dana Grob.
Wow.
And last but not least, I like to put some pepper in it. It just makes your noodles that much better.
Mr. Karls, let me ask you a question though. You broke your noodles in half, and I didn't see Mrs. Koss use the same tactic or strategy. My only problem with this would be if I was on a nice date and wanted to do like the Lady and the Tramp thing with a beautiful gal, I wouldn't be able to do it with the short noodles. So I'm gonna have to deduct some points there from your strategy, just for the sake of my future dating life. Thank you, Mr. Karls.
You just put this into perspective, though, Mr. Hirshkorn. The shorter the noodle, the less time you gotta wait.
Oh.
False. They cook at the same speed.
Well, there it is from the facts teacher. We got a lot of people pumping up Mr. Karls here in the chat, which, you know what? That's fine. Someone said hi to me. Hello right back at you. What else do we got? Sienna changed her vote from herself to Mrs. Koss. Sienna Wilkins says that was a lot of salt in the noodles. Very good. Aaron Tucker says fry up some earthworms, but not earthworm salty. Okay, wow. And then Lena Larson called you out and said, don't crack the noodles. So it seems, Mr. Karls, you have a lot of hatred going against you for the cracking of said noodle. Now, while we do this, ladies and gentlemen, these people get their noodles rolling, and I see Mr. Karls opening a can, and Mrs. Koss just, I believe, cracked an egg into, is that some beef I see, Mrs. Koss?
They're actually having elk meatballs.
Elk! She's making elk, Mr. Karls. Oh, enjoy your 80% lean ground beef. That's fantastic. All right. So while we do this, I'm going to ask some questions of you in the YouTube chat to try and answer these questions. I'm also going to go to our live studio audience as we do some of this. So our first question in the midst of this competition that we will then ask Mr. Karls and Mrs. Koss the answer. In what city did Mrs. Koss and Mr. Karls grow up in? What cities? You know what? Let's go to Mr. Staton first for what he thinks the answer might just be.
Billings.
Billings for which one? Do you?
Oh, I'm going to say Karls Billings. I know that.
Karls is Billings. Fantastic. That's one.
Oh, I'm in trouble now.
Oh man. Uh-oh. I don't think it will hurt your friendship too much. I think she'll still like you, even if you get her hometown wrong. I'm not going to ask Mrs. Grob the answer yet because she knows the answer. We'll go to Mr. Klasna real quick. He might also know. Where do you think they grew up at?
Well, I believe Mrs. Koss has a little bit of the Absorki Husky in her, as well as maybe some possible Innis, I think.
Points.
And then also, Mr. Karls, I know, is a graduate of senior high and went to school at Trinity Lutheran, but I believe he started his life out a little bit to the east of us in Minnesota.
Oh, very good. Can we get a confirmation from Miss Grob on Mrs. Koss? Is that correct? Ennis
Yeah,
and
I think
Absorki?
so. And then I think she also lived in Alaska for a little while.
Wow. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is friendship. Okay.
Did she live there or was she exiled there?
She lived there.
If you want the true story, it's going to take a while. So
If you want the true story, it's on her prison record, ladies and gentlemen. Just look it up. Now, Mr. Karls, can we check in with you and see where you are from? You added more salt?
I missed the last part that Mr. Klasna said. Did you say Minnesota? Because you were correct on that. I was born in Minnesota.
I did say Minnesota.
We're at Minnesota, Mr. Karls.
Minnesota. And then I moved over here when I was 5. And I lived in Billings and went to senior high. And then I went over to Bozeman.
Very, very nice. Well, you seem like both very well-traveled people with an eclectic culinary taste. That's why we're making spaghetti and meatballs today. Over in the chat, we had some guesses of Bozeman, Colstrip. What else do you have? Detroit. Okay, well, yeah. Mr. Karls clearly looks like he's from Detroit. Nolan Reinhardt. Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, really, Nolan? This is cringy, but you have nothing else to watch right now? That cuts me deep, okay? Cuts me deep. All right. Someone talked about Mrs. Koss's exile. Fantastic. Let's go back to the cook-off. Mrs. Koss, can you give us an update on where you're at with your spaghetti and meatball dish?
So my spaghetti is cooking, and I've got the meatballs ready to go. I have olive oil heating up in my cast iron Dutch oven. I'm going to be rolling the meatballs into 2 to 3 inch size balls and then browning them. And then once the spaghetti is done, I'm going to get my sauce started in that pan. And I'm going to be making some baked spaghetti and meatballs. That
Now,
delicious cheese on
for-
top.
for those of us that are German and not Dutch, what's the difference between a German oven and a Dutch oven, Mrs. Koss?
One is in Germany and one is in Switzerland.
Fantastic. Thank you. I really appreciate the context there. Mr. Karls, how about you? Where are you at with your cooking? I see you're using some microwaved ground beef, of course. So, is that microwaved, by the way?
Actually, I just wanted to say that this is kind of a special ingredient, honestly. This is a cow that we bought from Special K Ranch. It's 100% grass-fed, no antibiotics. It's a great cow. I think it's 93 and 7. So 93% or 93%.
I apologize now for my 80-20 prediction earlier. My apologies, Mr.
So
Karls, on
thank you
criticizing the ground beef you would be using.
yeah.
Shout out then to Special K Ranch. Very awesome. I'm glad you're using some beef from them. Mrs. Koss, did you obtain your elk via the arrow or the bullet from your husband?
Yes, this would be the elk that my husband shot with a bow last year from the ground. Beautiful early morning fog right by the river.
On the ground?
What a setting that is. Wow, that is going to make that meal romantic. Now, Mr. Klasna, if
Hey,
you
what
wouldn't
was that, a
mind real quick-
violin bow or a cello bow?
Neither. A Matthew.
Oh,
Now, Mr. Klasna, you were holding up just a moment ago a piece of culinary excellence yourself. What were you munching on this morning?
that was my lunch today. It was a double chocolate grandma's cookie.
Best ones. Best
I
ones.
also
Incredible.
do have my Mountain Dew.
Mm.
And then for dessert, peanut butter cheese crackers.
Mr. Klasna, now we know how you have that figure. I mean, you look great, okay? Spot on. All right, over to the comments section. Apparently, some of you didn't understand Mrs. Koss's joke that the Dutch oven's from Switzerland, so that's okay. We'll let you think about that one this afternoon. One of you said you're Russian. Congratulations. We're happy for you. Are you part of the mob or not? Please let us know. Microwave equals bad food. Bruce Rice, never, ever eat at Albertsons, Applebee's ever again. And Gage Coder says, I believe in Miss Koss. I agree with you, Gage Coder. I mean, I am the non-biased host here, but I will just say one person has a little more cooking experience than the other. Generally, that should tip the scale. Excuse the food pun.
I'm gonna do a little visual update for everyone right now.
Lovely.
We'll just take a peek at what's happening right now.
Wow. Do you hear that sizzle? That's nice. That's all I get. I get a little teaser. That's it. I get to hear the sizzle, and that's all I get from you. Fine, that's fine. Mr. Karls, how you doing over there?
Well, I'm just bringing in special ingredient number 2. So the meatballs taste better, I've always found, with just fresher ingredients. And you can't really beat freshness of your own home garden. And so over here in the corner, I got some oregano, some basil, some parsley. And I'm gonna start chopping some of this up. Like I said, you just kind of
are you cooking your
smell, and you just gotta think like, would Mama make that? Would Mama put that in there? And if she would, just do it, right?
Yep, this is going to be a great end result. I'm confident. Okay, over to the comments. Wow, Hayden Green is spamming the comment section. Thanks, Hayden. Nice to see you. That says someone is cussing in all caps. Okay, great. Well, watch your language. Watch your foul mouths on my Christian Minecraft server, ladies and gentlemen. All right. What do we have going on over here? Time for another question, I think. I think we should lean into another question right now. Question number 2 for you as the audience to think about. This is a great question. And I'm going to go to our live audience for this one too. What kind of car did Mrs. Koss and Mr. Karls first drive? Before we go to their answers, I would love to hear what Miss Grob, Mr. Klasna, and Mr. Staton drove first. Do you guys have an answer for us?
Yeah, I drove like a sea green Ford Escort wagon, like 97.
That's
It was
awesome.
I remember that little thing.
That sounds like a nice ride. Mr. Klasna, how about you?
I believe my first vehicle was made before all of you were. It was a 1980 Ford F100.
That was before I was born. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Not only the students watching, but also some of the teachers who are helping host this. It was that truck was born before I was. Mr. Staton, how about you?
Let's see. My first car, it was a 1984. Let's see, Oldsmobile Cutlass, and it was yeah, I had that in the 9th grade, so I bought it in 9th grade with my paper route money, and I was driving it to junior high school with my life.
You man child, you. That is fantastic. If I could peg a car for Mr. Karls, I think it would be, if I had to guess, something like Pink Slug Bug, 1972, something like that, Mr. Karls, with fuzzy dice on the rearview mirror. Did I get it? Did I get it right?
You got the flashy eyelids, eyelashes on the front.
Yeah, it had the eyelashes on the front. Yep. And Mrs. Koss, if I had to peg a car for you, probably, I don't know, 65 Shelby GT Mustang, cherry red, just something right up your alley. I just wanted to pick a car that really highlighted both of your personalities. Would you guys mind sharing what's your first car?
I thought you'd have a station wagon.
Here.
Start that over, Mr. Karls. What's up?
Can I talk about another secret ingredient I got going on?
No, because we want to hear about your first car.
So this is handmade by Sunshine Co.
Oh, that's so weird. Mr. Karls was muted. Who could have done that? Mrs. Koss, what was your first car?
It was a 1988 white Chevy Celebrity.
Dang, that is very cool.
Her name was the Beast.
Her nickname was the Beast. Now, Mr. Karls, I'm sorry you cut out on us. That was so weird. What kind of car did you have that you first drove?
Well, first off, I just want to say that my nickname was the Beast, honestly, in high school.
We can tell because of your really thick calves. Yeah.
So
here we go. Another quick peek at the meatballs. Look at that.
Wow.
You see the brown on the top? That's called a Maillard reaction. That's what happens when something browns. You typically see this with toast. Once it starts as bread and then it turns brown, that's what you're looking for, Karls, is that Maillard reaction. That's what gives you the flavor.
Well, I got educated today. Mr. Karls, would you like to go to your next special ingredient for us?
Yeah, I
we still didn't hear about your car, by the way.
Yeah, I have a special ingredient from Mrs. Ryan and Miss Ryan. You guys remember them. A shout out to Miss Ryan and Mrs. Ryan. Great people, by the way. Just great teachers. But they gave me some special Italian blended seasoning that I use sometimes. And it's just got this great flavor. It's almost like they chopped the vegetables in Italy. So it's just great. Throw it in there. It gives a little extra flavor, a little extra quick kick. And then I just feel like it's a dish of love. It's not just like me in my kitchen, Mrs. Koss. But
did you just cough in the dish, Mr. Karls?
It's everywhere.
You literally just coughed in the dish.
Hey,
doesn't understand food safety.
Okay. It's okay.
All right, great.
Mr. Karls, also, it's Italian, not Italian. You go to Italy, not Italy. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. To the comments section. We have a lot of people also joining me in, telling Hayden to quit spamming. Thank you, everybody. Your support is very much appreciated. All right, we got a little. Olivia McGrail says one of you must have driven a van first. Clearly, Mr. Karls. What else do we have here? Oh, she said, you guys are just saying things. My first car was a toy car. Very nice. I think mine was like a car bed. It was pretty cool. It went fast. For some reason, someone is talking about Karl Marx, communism, and the Communist Manifesto. You know what? If we want to engage that conversation, maybe that can happen in Mr. Anderson's 9th grade history class. You can wait till then. What else do we have? We have Mr. Karls, how dare you? Yeah, how dare, who do you think you are, Mr. Karls? Okay, very good, very good. Back to our food competition. Once again, Mr. Karls is putting more of something in his dish because it's not going to taste good by itself, so he obviously has to season it up while Miss Koss patiently creates her dish. Mr. Karls, could you give us a close-up on the food you're working on today?
Yeah, give me a second here. I'm just putting in my last special ingredient. A lot of times meatballs to me are just kind of bland. And so I like to spice things up a little bit. So I'll put some spice in there. But, I like to throw some different things in there. And a lot of times, sausage, you could throw some sausage in there.
I'm going to show you how to cut an onion quickly.
I
'cause
don't need any comments from over there, Mrs. Koss.
You need help with this. I know you struggle with this.
So I like to just sprinkle in some sort of sausage. Right now, the only thing I had on hand was just some pepperoni. So I sliced some pepperoni, and I just like to mix it in there, you know?
Don't we feel bad for his children?
It gives it that little extra bit of flavor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we know exactly what you're saying. Mrs. Koss, let's go to you real quick. You're showing us how to properly cut an onion. I'm gonna see if I can I'm gonna pin your video real quick for everyone. Show us how to cut that onion, please.
Okay, so what I just did, on an onion, you have both the stem end and the root ball.
Mm-hmm.
The root ball is the fuzzy part. First thing you want to do is cut off the stem end because you want to have a flat surface. Whenever you're cutting, you don't want to have wobble with your vegetable. So I'm going to be dicing my onion.
So we want no wobbly vegetables, is that correct?
No wobbly veg, no.
So the Veggie Tales completely broke that rule. I mean, I saw wobbly vegetables everywhere. So okay, that's against the Veggie Tales on that one. So what's next, Mrs. Koss?
Your fingers in.
Fingers in.
We want to cut through the root ball. Okay.
Very nice, very nice.
So I have 2 halves of an onion now. And then at this point is when I'm going to remove the paper off the outside.
Mrs. Koss, real quick, I'm sorry to cut you off, but you know how I know you have godlike superpowers?
How?
You're not crying right now. I'm crying on my end watching you cut that thing. And you are a woman among boys only because you're competing against Mr. Karls. So anyway, keep going, sorry.
So now we're going to cut a couple of lines in this way. This is where people have to be careful.
So we're going to cut them in horizontally.
Yes.
Okay. Very careful with that onion. I'm going to see what some of those comments say, if anyone's commenting on your onion skills yet. Some people think they're a better cook than both of you. That's just egregious. One of you for sure. One of you not so much. Okay, continue with the onion, please.
Okay, so now I have cut lines going down this way.
Okay, so we have a horizontal cut on the onion and a vertical cut on the
And
onion.
then lines this way. And then I'm just going to cut straight down and my
Wow.
onion is diced.
Well, yeah, it just falls apart, people. Do you see that? Incredible. Incredible. So what's the onion going into then, Mrs. Koss?
It's going to create the base of my sauce along with some garlic.
Oh, very nice. Are you telling me you're making your sauce from scratch?
Is there any other way?
Well, I just saw a can and a can opener from Mr. Karls earlier. I'm not going to assume what that was. That would be rude of me. But I maybe did see a popular name brand printed on the can that rhymes with bunts or potentially
Grunts?
Grunts, punts. You know, just some things maybe to think about. All right, over to our comments section. What do we see over here? Oh, Gage Coder, you're so kind. Thank you. Your words are kind to me. Sorry, guys, they're talking about me. Oh wow. Okay. People's eyes are watering. Sienna said onions have layers. Just like Shrek, because ogres have layers as well. Exactly. Very good. Mr. Karls, I'm going to go ahead and unpin now Ms. Koss video. We're going to go to a pin of Mr. Karls. Mr. Karls, can you describe to us what you're working with right now? I see you maybe potentially rolling a meatball.
I am in the process of rolling my meatballs. My meat is finally done. I like to season it, give it a good 5 or 10 minutes to really just catch all that good flavor from the seasoning. You know, now I'm just rolling them up. Put a little breadcrumb in here just to give it a little bit more heartiness. I'm really just making this up as I go. I don't know if you guys know this, but
go ahead.
It's all about the tummy, you know? So, you know, earlier I said it's all about the heart and the nose, but really you just got to go with your gut sometimes too.
So Mr. Karls, is the true mark of a great chef changing your mind every 5 minutes in the recipe? Is that really what it is?
That really is. It's a key part of being a good chef. And I don't think Mrs. Koss would know this because she probably just follows recipes too often and grandma's advice. But you know, you just gotta go with what you're thinking. You know, sometimes you gotta be an improv type of personality. And you know, I think all the great chefs would truly, you know, say that their greatness comes from just kind of going with the flow.
Improvising.
Well, Mr. Karls, thank you for that diatribe that was literally about nothing. Very grateful for your
I
input
have another
into
cool
this.
trick if you want.
Oh,
to see.
I have a feeling that this is going to switch slowly from a cook-off between Mr. Karls and Mrs. Koss into a very nice just cooking show with Mrs. Koss. So, Mrs. Koss, what do you have for us?
Okay. So I'm gonna make my garlic now, and the garlic paper is always a pain in the butt, you know, to get off your garlic. And so I'll show you a little trick. So I've got a couple of garlic cloves here, and you just simply lay them on your cutting board. Take your knife, and you're going to use the flat side of your knife and smash, and then the paper comes right off.
That seemed a little bit like a dangerous tactic there, Mrs. Koss.
The blade was pointing this direction, and I hit on the non-sharp side.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Let's see what we got going here. I'm not entirely sure what Mr. Karls is doing. So Lena Larson asked in the comment section, said, who's going to taste these? Well, Lena, here's the deal. What they're going to do is they're going to give both of these dishes to their children, and their children are going to be the ones that decide if it's good or not. Now, that's maybe a little unfair because they cook for them all the time. So, you know, Mr. Karls' kids are pretty much used to hot dogs in mac and cheese. So his spaghetti is going to be phenomenal for them. But, you know, we'll see what Mrs. Koss's kids have to say about this. You know, comment section. What are you guys even doing over here? What are you guys even doing over here? Oh, okay. That's funny. I'm not going to repeat that out loud. It's not inappropriate. I just think it's funny and not pertinent to, you know, what we're doing today. Let's go to another question. Let's ask another question for Mrs. Koss and Mr. Karls as they cook something they have to think about. You know, what is the meaning of life? That's what I've always been wondering. No? Okay, great. Okay, now in the comment section, please answer and tell us, where did they attend high school? Well, do we already give it away with where they're from? Yeah. Wow. Who wrote these questions, Mr. Karls? Ooh, this is a good one. This is going to be one nice to think about. What is their favorite recreational activity? So I'm going to go to the comment section. I'm going to wait for a little bit because I want to hear also in the comment section, what's your favorite recreational activity? So before we get to Mr. Karls and Mrs. Koss, I want to know what you guys have as your favorite recreational activity. We'll start also with Mr. Klasna. Mr. Klasna, what do you like to do?
I like to go hiking, skiing. I like to do woodworking, believe it or not. That's something that I enjoy as well, building things.
What was the last thing you made?
I made a floating shelf for a big plant that we have that we got the plant when my son was born 22 and a half years ago. And we've been repotting as it keeps growing and growing. So it's a nice, big, huge floating shelf that sits in the corner of our living room.
So to make the shelf float, is that the spell Wingardium Leviosa? Or do you use like an L bracket underneath to make it look like it's floating?
Well, I do a hybrid actually. So I only use an L bracket on one side, and then I use the spell for the other side. Gotcha.
Because if correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Klasna, but they did offer you the job to be the headmaster or principal at Hogwarts at one point. Is that correct?
They did, but they said I needed to grow my beard a little bit more still to get to that point.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So that's what we've seen you working on lately. Is that still the long-term goal?
I'm hoping that I could. I think it would be a good career move for me eventually. I have been trying on a few different pointy hats to see which looks best for me.
Yeah.
And then also trying out a few Quidditch brooms. I haven't found one that I really like yet. Nothing's really fast enough, but I'm working on some things.
I see your broom is sitting actually behind you against the wall, so it's not fast enough, but it's nice for getting around campus, is what you're saying.
The problem is that there's no end to my broom, so that's kind of the problem right now. So I'm thinking that's probably something that would help me.
Probably.
But right now, it's more of a hiking staff than it is anything. I mean, which is also very good for a wise wizard, is to have a staff.
Only the wisest, like Gandalf. Now, and Mr. Karls, I'd like to hear not only what you're reading, that you're taking the time to actually read during a cooking competition, but also what are your hobbies? Over in the comments section, I hear some people, Allison Paramore's talking about backpacking, Bruce Rice shouting out to the D&D club. What a nice shout out. Gage Coder said the meaning of life is to watch teachers cook off. Soccer and volleyball and basketball from Lena. Aaron Tucker said, read this to Mr. Karls. Fry some earthworms and say, will you do this next if you don't vote? I don't know exactly what that means, Aaron. I'm sorry. Do the earthworms next. The whole thing that makes your heart happy. Oh, Lena, that's beautiful. All right, Mr. Karls, what are your hobbies as we get to know you? And how's that cooking coming along over there? Are you reading to your dish to insert some love into it?
First off, I really just like to think of cooking as just a hobby, and it's really important to enjoy your hobby. So, when I'm cooking, I don't like to overstress myself. Sometimes I like to sit down, read a book. I'll take some notes as well, kind of like what flavors work best with what. Just really like to, I'm a learner, Mr. Hirshkorn, so I like to keep learning.
Yeah.
But as far as my favorite hobby goes, I would have to say fly fishing, actually. So just getting out on the river, doing a little fly fishing, catching some browns. And it looks like someone's playing CSGO.
That's Hayden Green. He likes to
fly
play
fishing is my
Counter-Strike.
favorite
Okay.
recreational activity. I think Allison Paramore said something about backpacking, you said?
Yeah, she's the one that said backpacking.
That
We have
is
some
also-
people playing video games, hunting for some
backpacking.
people.
Backpacking and fishing while I backpack is probably the key. I was just gonna let you guys see what I'm doing here. Hopefully you guys can see this a little close up.
Yeah, it looks good.
So, I like to start with this is avocado oil. And, Mrs. Koss was talking earlier about the Maillard reaction. And she's kind of like talking like I wouldn't know what that is. I don't know if you guys know my background, but I am a chemistry teacher. So I actually know the chemical breakdown of that reaction. I like to just get that oil nice and hot because really you don't get a good Maillard reaction unless you really sizzle it. So I just want you guys to just listen in to the sizzle.
That's nice, Mr. Karls. That's a pretty good sizzle. That's good. That's good. My mouth is watering.
Now, the other thing that it's really important to me is you don't want to burn your meatballs either. So you give these guys about a minute on each side. Sorry, on top and on bottom. And then I like to slide mine into the oven at a little bit lower temperature to just give them a little bit longer to cook. So they're getting cooked on the inside without over burning. And I don't know if you guys can smell that from where you're at, but that extra ingredient of pepperoni in there, I sliced it up nice and thin, so you won't even be able to tell the textures there. But you will be able to taste that deliciousness. So I'll give that about a minute. I'll flip them. And while I give it a minute, I can sit down. I'll wash this hand in a minute, but I can read my book while I wait for that minute.
Oh, that's a good read. Read that one. All right, Mrs. Koss, tell us what you're up to. But before you tell us what you're up to, can you tell us your favorite hobby? What do you like to do in your free time?
I would probably say I love to read and garden. Those are probably my two favorite. I do love to bake. I have been enjoying being home because I've been able to bake bread and yeast bread type things, and I love to cook that kind of thing. So.
Very good, very good. Update on your dish currently happening, Mrs. Koss?
So I'll give you a quick tour.
Fantastic.
Right now, the sauce, I have fresh tomatoes and some tomato sauce and a variety of spices in there cooking down. My meatballs are ready and waiting. My noodles are drained and cooked perfectly al dente. I apologize for the background noise.
Yeah, Miss Koss, real quick, is there a buffalo dying in the background? Is that what I'm hearing?
Mr. Koss is doing some housework on the deck.
Does he not know the importance of this cook-off right now? I realize it's almost 70 degrees outside, but there are bigger things going on in the universe right now.
My deck is missing, so that's what's happening in the background there. So.
Well, you know what else is going to be missing if he doesn't knock it off? His lunch. So tell him to stop. Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Koss, thank you for that update. Your dish looks incredible. I really wish I was there to try both of these at the end, but that's what it is. Over to the comment section. Let me unpin this video really quick. Over the comment section, we have people like Michaela saying she likes to hop on her four-wheeler. Also, wait, what was it? Hang on, I just saw it. I gotta scroll to it, guys. Four-wheeling and dirt biking. When my mom oh, I'm sorry, Sienna, if I made this weird for you, because I said, did you just cough from the bowl right when your mom walked in? All right, what else? Lena Larson said, Mr. Karls, you should do more cooking and a little less talking. She could be right. I don't know. I'm not a professional chef. Olivia Kelly enjoys gymnastics
instead of sitting around.
I really do believe that he was trying to read to his meatballs, maybe to give a little extra love in the dish. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt here.
Any comments? I'm a learner, like I said. So just keep comments flowing, audience. Thank you, Lance, for the tip.
Allison Paramore said, Mr. Hirshkorn, if I ever sneezed in a dish, Mrs. Koss would throw me out. Allison, you have learned so much in her class. Nice work. Nice work. We got some people that like hunting. Who's that? I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. What else we got? Hayden Green likes to play with his dog. I also like to play with my dog. What a lovely, lovely hobby. Mrs. Koss, what are you doing? What is that contraption?
This is called an immersion blender. And so I'm able to immerse this into my sauce and blend it up while it's cooking. So, but it keeps falling off.
Very, very good. You know, real quick, let's go to our live studio audience. Mr. Staton and Miss Grob, I'd love to hear about your hobbies also. I mean, while these guys are cooking, we might as well take the time to get to know some of our teachers who are joining us in here. So, Miss Grob, let's start with you. What do you like to do in your free time?
I think you guys all know I like to go to a lot of movies. That's like my favorite hobby. Watch a ton. I like to read a lot. Mrs. Koss and I have the exact same taste in books. I mean, I like to draw too. Love it.
Very good, very good. How about you, Mr. Staton?
Well, I like a lot of outdoor activities as well. I like to go hiking. I love to go biking. Planning on doing a bit of that today. Super excited. And of course, I love to tool around with music as well. And there's generally music on in the background if I'm not singing or playing it myself. So yeah.
Quick side question for Miss Grob and Mr. Staton. Mr. Staton, what's the most recent album you've listened to that you really enjoyed? It could be one you've heard before or a new one. Can you recommend one for our watchers out there?
Okay, you know, I have been really into James Taylor lately, actually.
Very good.
A lot of James Taylor just recently. The Best Of album from actually like way back when though. So good stuff.
Oh, fantastic. Miss Grob, how about you? I don't want to know about the music. I want to know what was the most recent movie you watched that you really enjoyed. And if it's not age appropriate for our viewers, pick a different one.
Well, the last movie I saw in theaters was Emma, and that was so good. It's based on a Jane Austen novel. I love those.
Oh, lovely.
And then, I don't know, I've just been watching lots of TV at home.
Very good. Yeah, I've been doing some of that myself. Very good. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor and in the comments section, tell me not only your favorite music you've been listening to, but also tell me maybe your favorite movie or even Miss Grob likes to read. Miss Grob, you got a book recommendation for us of late?
No, I don't really have one right now that I've been reading. I've been meaning to read The Children of Blood and Bone. I heard that one's really good.
That sounds intense. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the comment section, tell us, what music you're listening to. Tell us what movie or TV series you're watching. Tell us what book you're reading. We'd love to know some of those things going on. Back to, Mr. Staton, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, I was gonna say so I did something over this break that I've never ever done before, and I actually binge watched a show. It was
first time ever you've done that?
First time I've ever done that. Yes.
Wow.
It was on Netflix, and I don't even know.
Mr. Staton, it's 2020. You know that, right?
That's what I'm saying. And
okay.
Normal. The first one I ever did was the Tiger King one. Holy cow!
Yeah, it's wild. That's some wild stuff.
I tell you.
Gentlemen, please consult your parents before engaging in said activity. It'd be important for you. And other than that, all I have to say is, hey there, you cool cats and kittens. Back to our cooking contest. Mr. Karls, where are you at? Where are you at, Mr. Karls, with your dish right now?
I am everything's in the oven, simmering or fully cooked. So I'm kind of going on to my side dish next.
Oh, lovely. Can you describe to us what it is?
Yeah, I'd love to. So Ms. Koss, I really am excited that you're a bread baker, because I've recently, over the last month, with all of my free time, have been getting really into making sourdough bread. So here's my sourdough. I don't know if you guys know what sourdough bread is, but it is awesome.
So is the name of the bread doesn't describe what the bread is, Mr.
Here's
Karls?
my sourdough starter. So it's just a different type of dough. So the yeast is actually an active culture. So if you keep the yeast alive, it's not like something that you can just take out of the, well, I did just take it out of the fridge, but it's not something that like you can get from the store. You actually have to build up your yeast yourself. Anyways, this is a dry aged, just kidding, it's not dry aged. It has been 2 days since I made this.
It's technically aged. Yeah.
It's amazing, by the way. The nice part about sourdough bread is it's a little bit, I don't know the technical term, maybe Mrs. Koss can help me out with this, but fluffier. It's a little bit more airy, and it just has a little bit of a sour taste to it because the sour, or the yeast actually puts off some alcohols from fermentation while it's doing its job, and it gives you this nice sour flavor. So I'm going to cut this up. I'm going to serve it with your choice of butter, peanut butter, jelly, anything you want.
Oh yeah, because one of my favorite things is to eat peanut butter with my spaghetti. Clearly, Mr. Karls, thank you so much for that. Over to the comments section, we got people who are listening to Luke Combs. That's Aiden Nitz. We got people. Aiden's also watched Bad Boys 3. I haven't seen it yet. I still plan to. They've been listening to Drake. We've been listening to some punk rock and reading Cujo by Stephen King. That was from Chicken Nugget. Zane is listening to the national anthems. Is that a band? I think. I don't know. I'm not super music savvy. Unless you're just listening to national anthems from countries, which makes you officially the coolest person on the face of the earth. All right. We got people shooting hoops. Landon Longero is watching Jerry Springer and filling his head with filth. Congratulations. I hope quarantine's treating you well. We have people listening to 21 Pilots. That's Aaron Tucker. All kinds of good stuff in here. Olivia Kelly is reading a book called The Good Girl. What else? The Perks of Being a Wallflower. All kinds of good stuff. Oh, and Lily Pad is watching The Simpsons, Aiden's to AC/DC. Great stuff. Mrs. Koss, can you give us an update on where you're at?
I'm just about to start grating some fresh mozzarella to put on top of my my dish here.
Hey, I'm grading too. Ba-dum-tsh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, please continue, Mrs. Koss.
I just layered my spaghetti and then put on the meatballs and then poured the sauce over the top so it will gently seep down into the layers and not overwhelm or overcook my noodles.
You know, Ms. Koss, what's interesting is when I hear you describe what you're cooking and when you use adjectives, they don't ever sound forced, but I feel like Mr. Karls is making up every adjective on the spot to describe his food, which is fine. It just, wait, is that illegal help in the kitchen, Mr. Karls? Is that illegal help in the kitchen?
Foul.
Oh, no. That's my beautiful wife. She's amazing. Her name is Caitlin.
Mrs. Karls? If Mr. Karls needs a tape measure to cook, he clearly doesn't know how to cook. But I want to know, Mrs. Karls, you're not helping him in any way, shape, or form, are you? No help?
I don't touch anything in the kitchen if he's around.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'm glad you have shown him your support by bringing him a tape measure. Wonderful work. All right.
It does smell good in here. I will say that.
Yeah, that's because he added like 5,000 different seasonings to it. So I hope it smells nice. I'm pretty sure I saw him put a pound of salt in the noodles as well. Someone just said in the comments, free Joe Exotic. Oh, great. I'm glad we have so many students watching.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
Oh, this is great.
All right, my baked dish is about ready to go into the oven.
Mm-hmm. And how long is that going to bake for, Mrs. Koss?
About 10 minutes at 400, just to get the cheese melted. And then I'm going to put a little more Parmesan on top and put it under the broiler, and then that will get that nice crispy shell.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the purpose of the broil is to cook top down, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So the broiler is going to crisp that the Parmesan cheese. And I don't use fresh bloody-doody Parmesan. I just use the shaker cheese because it gets brown faster and it actually tastes better.
What kind of dishes, if a student is making a dish at home, what kind of dishes would they use in the broiler? Like what kind of things would they broil?
With a lot of them that have taken my class, the cheesy garlic bread, that's our, that we make under the broiler. Nachos, any of those kind of things. Typically, if you want to melt cheese and not cook something, that's what you're gonna do the broiler.
Sorry, I'm not laughing. I just looked over at the comments and I saw that Maddie Foreman said hashtag Carol killed her husband. So Jack Staton, Carol killed her husband 100%. This is
Is Maddie Foreman on here? Maddie, hi, we miss you.
This is incredible. Ashley Sherrod, I agree. Carol killed her husband 1000%. Someone just said they did my boy Joe Exotic wrong. Oh, I'm so happy right now. This is the greatest cooking competition in the history of cooking competitions.
Mr. Karls, the mark of a true chef is that they try their food as they're going along, so they can adjust it as needed. That you were talking about earlier, you know, like on the fly. So I have a little bit of sauce and a little bit of meatball bite that I'm gonna.
Sorry, I just.
That isn't good.
This once we watch this video again, but you would have seen right before you said that, I actually tasted a meatball. And might I tell you, it was, but it does need a little bit more salt.
Of course it does. Of course it does for you, Mr. Karls. I'm glad you tasted it. Mr. Karls, while our attention's on you, two things. Can you give us a quick update of where you're at with your side dish? But also, can you tell us what your favorite thing is about being a school counselor?
Oh man, easily the students. And guys, I will just tell you, being super serious.
Wait, the students are where you're at with your dish? Like, I believe my
would
questions
say
were in order. So
the students are what I miss most.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, being totally serious here, I completely miss you guys. My job is not the same online. It is so ridiculously hard to do this online. And I miss hanging out with you guys, and it looks like school's going to be closed for the year, but we can still do goofy stuff like this online and try to connect. You know, Mrs. Koss and I were thinking, and other teachers as well, about trying to get you guys involved on some of these as well, and maybe doing some like fun stuff. But yeah, I say the best part about my job is the students, and I miss you guys so much. And just know, like, if you're as bored as I am with basically cooking bread every day, and I love hanging out with my family, it's awesome, this has been fun, but you know, I'm pretty bored as well. Like, just realize you're not alone on that. Like, if you guys are bored, if you guys are going crazy at home, stir crazy, sometimes I do as well. So an update on the food though is I'm finishing up. I don't know if you guys can see that lovely what are those, hon? Green beans.
Look at these incredible things I made. Sweetie, what are they?
Wait, where'd my wife go?
I just threw some oil on those, and I lightly seasoned them with salt and pepper, which, by the way, for those of you that make fun of salt and pepper, that is Bobby, what's his name?
Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay. That is his favorite ingredient, and he says it's back to the basics. And so if you can really work with just the basics, it's not always about the fancy and the crazy and the cool. You know, sometimes it's just about the basics, and that's where I like to sit, and that's what's on there, just oil, pepper, and salt, and those are going to turn out lovely, and just with a little broil action as well, they'll turn out a little brown as well.
Mr. Karls, hold that thought. It seems like our other competitor has something to interject in this moment.
All right, let's see it.
I'm just a little conflicted with all of the chatter that you've had all day. Your 97 ingredients in your whatever you were doing earlier seems to conflict with just the basics that you're talking about here. Just, I'm a little confused is all. And I'm also moving on to my side dish, which will be whole sauteed Parmesan encrusted green beans with garlic.
Yes, please. Oh, okay.
A quick
Over
side.
to our comment section. Pierce Dotson, it's great to see you. Man, I have not seen you in so long. It's great to see you in here. All kinds of lovely people in here today. Throwing support at Mr. Karls. Mrs. Koss talking about Tiger King. Some people like Lena Larson is worried about Mr. Karls' cholesterol because of all the salt he's put in his dish. Or sorry, high blood pressure, not cholesterol. My apologies, everybody. Yes, yes, yes. This is just great. I think that it is time for another audience question. Ooh, that's a fun question. I think I know the answer for Mr. Karls. I do not know the answer for Mrs. Koss, but the question is, what is the farthest place you have been from Montana? Let's start this one off with Miss Grob. Let's ask Miss Grob, what's the farthest place you've been away from Montana?
I've been lucky to go on school trips, so I went to France, Italy, and Spain.
Wow,
And
so
I've been
well
to
traveled.
49 states.
What's the one you're missing?
Alaska.
Alaska. Wow, very cool. Been to 49
question,
states.
Mrs. Graham?
Mhm.
How or what was the best dish you had in Italy?
Not your spaghetti.
In Italy, it was either the margherita pizza, which is just a really good cheese pizza, or it was the carbonara pasta with the cheese and the bacon and all that good stuff.
That sounds nice. So, wait, Miss Grubb. Just on that note, it wasn't a spaghetti and meatball dish made with 93%, 7% ground beef with 5 pounds of salt. Wasn't that? Okay, just
No, it wasn't.
to make sure that that was not on the menu.
Yeah.
Mr. Staton, what's the farthest place you've been away from Montana?
I would probably have to say Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, great city.
I'm not sure which way is further, that way or either like Tijuana, Mexico, just past the border from San Diego.
Very nice, very nice. In our comments section, real quick, we have blowing up with this question. We've got a bunch of different places. We've got people saying, why everywhere from Wyoming to the Bahamas to Hawaii, Costa Rica, Indiana, Denver, Colorado. We've got Alaska, Mexico, Las Vegas, Lake Powell. Someone said they lived in Germany and visited France and Austria. Fantastic. You guys are also well-traveled people. That's very cool. Mr. Klasna, how about you? What's the farthest you've gone from our lovely state of Montana?
Somewhere on the East Coast. It very well could have been Florida. Maybe some of you call it Florida. Boston, New York, the East Coast area, but probably when I had the chance to visit my good friend Mickey down in Orlando, probably the farthest trip I've made.
Very, very good. I love that we are all well-traveled people. It opens up our worldview, allows us to see different people. Traveling is awesome. It looks like Mr. Karls is pouring another cup of coffee. I really hope that is crucial to the ingredient and the, cooking process, because it looks like Mrs. Koss is hard at work. Mr. Karls, how's your 17th cup of coffee treating you?
Oh, it's great. And I don't know if you
Have
guys
the
saw
shakes yet? I mean, what?
This is a best dad ever mug. I got
That's
it for my
sweet.
kid. I didn't buy it for myself, I promise. And no, it's great. It's good. Like I said, sometimes you just gotta sit back and you just gotta enjoy the kitchen.
Yeah. Have your kids ever had another dad? How do they know you're the best dad ever? Because I mean, currently, even watching this, I know there are 2 other fathers in this between Mr. Staton and Mr. Klasna, and maybe their kids would argue with the validity of who's holding that mug.
All right, I argue. My father's the best.
There we go. See, already, it's already like we already have people fighting back the fact that what? Jack, woo! Jack, nice to see you.
I
It's
don't
nice
know
to see
what's
you.
happening with
Mr.
my deck
Hirshkorn?
right now. I'm gonna
Yeah,
mute myself.
Hey, Miss Dopkins is here. Everyone say hi to Miss
Hey,
Dopkins.
Mrs. Dopkins, how are you?
Hey, I need to step away for a little bit. We're gonna go measure the science room and check for tables to make sure we've got enough room, but I will leave my feed running so you can look at the blank wall behind me.
Fantastic. I'll mute you. All right, fantastic. Here we are over the comments section. Washington, D.C., baby, is one of the answers. Someone said, shout out to Archduke Ferdinand. That person has to be in that person has to be in Mr. Anderson's 9th grade class, because that's all stuff you're talking about. Someone just said the salt between Hirshkorn and Karls is getting heavy. It's not as heavy as the amount of salt he's already put on his dish. So don't ever worry about it getting that heavy at all. That's all I got for you right now. Okay, over to the dish. Wow, Mr. Karls has actually taken out now a side plate, and his side dish is now resting on said plate. He has sliced his sourdough bread. Oh, that is his. What was that? What kind of vegetable was that, Mr. Karls?
Green beans.
Green beans. Okay, you got a green beans with some olive oil on them. Any other seasoning on those green beans besides salt?
Just salt and pepper.
Just
And
salt
oil.
and pepper. Fantastic. Ms. Koss, what are you working on over there while the buffalo dies in the background?
I just put a little bit more Parmesan cheese on my baked spaghetti and put it under the broiler. And my green beans are just about done. So we are about ready to plate.
Fantastic. Wow. Well, she's getting to the plating process. Mr. Karls, are you close to the plating process as well?
I am, yes.
Fantastic. We are almost done, ladies and gentlemen. We are almost to a point where one of them shall finish first and be able to then have that in their corner in the cooking competition. Of the three things we're judging, don't forget, appearance on the plate is number one. Number two is the time in which they finish said dish. And the third thing is the presentation to the children, and hopefully neither one of them vomits. All right, bonus points if they do, though. If they do, bonus points. What's up? Are you saying, oh my gosh, to the dying buffalo in the background?
Yes.
Oh, it's fine. It's not that bad. It's okay. It's okay.
I can't even hear you guys over it. So
that must be loud then. Must be loud. Real quick, I'd just like to welcome Mr. D and Mrs. Wolff to the competition. Welcome, guys. We're happy to have you. You popped in at a perfect time because we're just about wrapping this up. Both are finishing their side dishes. I know that Mrs. Koss has a something coming out of the oven here shortly, and Mr. Karls has added enough salt to his dish to give salt to the entire continent of Africa for the next 10 years. So over to the comments section. This is so awesome. You're welcome. We're here for you. Social distancing. Exactly. That's why we're doing this in a new and creative way. Shout out to my bed and my bathroom. Yeah, I feel that shout out. They've been my best friends right now. Oh, just on a quick side note, I'd like to take a minute to shout out to our sponsor for today's cook-off, depression. We all have it. Am I right? Okay. Back to the cooking competition. What else do I see in the comments section? Someone just said the fun police have arrived. That's not true. Mr. Klasna was here the whole time. So the fun police have been here and been having fun. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let's go to one more question before we wrap up the competition. My last question for the contestants is, I'm going to get this one. I'm going to get in your heads a little bit. All right. We're going to try and distract them from the cooking competition. What is the most important event that has ever happened to you that has shaped you in the most positive way in your lifetime? Yeah, think about it. That's right. I got a little distraction from your green beans there, Mrs. Koss. You're muted. Can't hear you.
I already know the answer.
Well, then let's hear it while Mr. Karls thinks of his answer.
It was meeting my fabulous husband.
That's adorable. Is he the one that's making all the sound in the background, distracting us from an actual competition right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
He saved me from a disastrous life of poor choices and gently led me on this wonderful path that I have had since meeting him 18 years ago. Oh my God, that's so long.
That's almost as old as the first car that Mr. Klasna had. All right, Mr. Karls, what is the one life-shaping event that you have experienced that has shaped your life in a positive way? Mr. Karls? Mr. Karls. There we go.
What's the question?
Oh my gosh, I've asked it twice. You are the worst contestant ever. Okay, what's the one positive thing that has happened to you that shaped your life in a good way? One event.
I can't think of one, but all of them involve people. I think everything good that's ever happened to me always involved people. So I don't know if that helps at all.
That does help. That's nice. That's a very sweet answer. Ms. Koss, you're muted.
Let's just take a peek-see. Just peek.
Wait, Mr. Karls, you are finished.
I am finished.
All right. The first affirmative point given in the competition to Mr. Karls for finishing his dish first. Do not show us the dish yet, Mr. Karls. That's okay. We'll take a minute here once Mrs. Koss is done to look at it. So, Mr. Karls, with the time point. His dish is finished first. I am very excited to see how they turn out. Very excited about this. Mrs. Koss, how much farther behind are you? Just a little bit. Yours looks phenomenal, by the way, Mrs. Koss. Do you want to show us one more time before you cut in there? Show us that bake that you made. Wowza. Wowza. That looks unbelievably good. And I got a little sneak peek at Mr. Karls' plate. It looks good as well, so I'm very excited for this. All right.
And Miss Koss, I do apologize. Remember how I said I was going with Mr. Karls earlier? So I'm going on a bike ride with him later, and if I didn't vote for him, I feared I'd never hear the end of it. So good luck to both of you.
I do hope you guys are enjoying the social distancing bike ride by keeping at least 6 feet in between you at all times. Okay. And if one person is riding in front of the other, be sure not to cough over your shoulder. Okay. Make sure you don't do that. That would be disgusting. Just like the reminder we had earlier when Mr. Karls coughed into his dish. Ladies and gentlemen, if you weren't here for it, you missed it. Mr. Karls coughed into his dish. Good thing the children are the only ones eating it because that's disgusting. And if that man has COVID, gross. Gross. Okay? Mr. Karls looks like he's set up and ready for table for one, unless he gets his children involved. Mrs. Koss is dishing up right now. We'll go over to the chat section and see what you guys have to say. You guys are also making up sponsors just like I did. And there's some funny ones. Wow, that's funny. I'm not going to repeat it. It's not inappropriate. I think it's funny. I better just be careful. Okay. All right. We've got some people pumping up Mrs. Koss. Let's go, Mrs. Koss. What else do we have here? Someone said, it was Madison said, I'll cry if Mr. Karls tries to show his food and spills it everywhere. That would just make my day, actually, because that would probably go points against presentation. Remember social distancing. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Mrs. Koss, how you doing? Good. You about ready? Yep. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Ooh, I'm going to pin Mr. Karls' video. And we can see that looks nice. That looks nice. Got a lot of good colors on that plate. I mean, look at that sourdough that he baked. That's a child, by the way, for those of you wondering. That is a child, not an animal, not a wild animal that wandered into Mr. Karls' home. That is a child with a stunned look on its face, wondering what is going on. Looks like Mr. Karls is prepping a towel napkin. Here we go. Mrs. Koss looks like she also is ready, setting the table. Mr. Karls, I really appreciate the knife placement. I'll get into that more in a minute. Maybe that's what I'll judge. I'll judge the presentation of the plate. That'll be my only job here, because obviously I didn't get this curvy figure without eating all the food in the world. So maybe I'm the best judge to see how it looks and if I would consume it, because it's better than all the stuff I've been eating in quarantine. # grilled cheese for life. Okay, now.
Hey, really quick, do you want us to send you our best picture of it, or are you just going to judge it off?
I think we should judge it in front of both the live audience in here and also our viewers on YouTube. So.
All right. Well, I was hoping to be able to use my food setting on my phone that you can take pictures of your food with. That would have doctored it up a lot, but this is okay as well. So we're good.
All right. Mr. Karls, since you were done first, we'll wait for Mrs. Koss. I think she's prepping maybe another plate for the other child. Mrs. Koss, if you could just text me your address and leave a plate on the front porch. I'll be by in 15 minutes after the live stream is over to eat my lunch. That would be awesome.
What's that mean?
Awesome, awesome, awesome. You know, while we're here and we have them in here, we got Mr. D and Mrs. Wolff. Let's ask them how they're doing today. Hi, guys. How are you? Welcome to our Lockwood School Cook-Off 2020 between Mr. Karls and Mrs. Koss. How are you today?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. Hey, I wish I was there to enjoy some of that great looking food.
It does look very good. I'm actually a little impressed with Mr. Karls right now. I'm not going to lie. It looks much better than I was originally giving him credit for.
He stepped up. I'm very impressed.
He really did. Mrs. Wolff, how are you today?
I'm doing good. This is the best part of my day.
Wow. This is just fantastic news. It's the best part of my day as well. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I talk about the food presentation. What I'm going to want you to do is tell me your comments in the YouTube chat. I want to know what you guys think of the presentation as well. Now, looks can be deceiving when we just look at the screen, but what we're going to do is look at the dishes, examine them. We will make sure that they both have the proper opportunity to present their plates. Okay, Mrs. Koss, are you ready? Just about, maybe. Mr. Karls, are you ready? One what? I'm assuming that means minute, but one could mean anything. One more dish, one more comment. Oh my goodness, blowing up the comment section with a bunch of nonsense. Thanks, guys. This is great. This is great. Just
Get the kids. Hold on.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. We'll wait. We'll wait in awkward silence for a moment. You know what? Maybe Mr. Klasna will come back just in time to see the judging round. Please don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that Mr. Karls did win the time portion of this contest. He got done a little quicker, which made sense. Oh, I better let Mr. Vanderbeck in, which makes sense because he sat and read to his dish while it cooked. So we kind of figured he would be done first anyway. Ah, hello, children. How are you? I'm going to unmute you. How are you today?
Good.
You're good? Are you ready for your lunch?
Yep.
Fantastic. Now, when your mom usually cooks for you, is it pretty good?
Yeah.
What's your favorite meal she's ever made you?
I like almost all her food.
I'll say that again. I'm sorry.
I like almost all her food.
But do you have something that if it was your birthday, you would ask her to make one thing? What would that be?
What's your best thing, mommy?
Well,
If you like
tater tot dish.
Tater. Wow, that does sound awesome. Maybe that's the next food competition. That sounds incredible. I just had an idea. I think maybe whoever wins this competition we should do like a bracket style, and they should stay in and keep competing against other people, which means for the next 6 months, Mrs. Koss is just going to do a cooking show for us because she's probably not going to lose. Okay, Mr. Karls, over to you. We have 2 young children sitting there. Mrs. Koss, I'm going to mute you just real quick. Okay. Mr. Karls, I see some young people at your table. How are they doing?
They're doing good. What is your name?
Lisa.
What's your name? Louder.
Lisa.
What's your name, buddy? Say it louder.
Louder.
Oh, here we go. This is going to be good.
Classic dinner wine from Lulu. Hopefully she doesn't keep that up. But they have already dug in, but we are just going to see how they like it. Tell me, guys, what do you think of this meal?
Well, he definitely likes the sourdough bread. That's for sure right now. Okay, what else? What else?
But what do you think about the meatballs? Are the meatballs good? Do you taste any like amazing flavors coming out of it?
Any salt? Do you taste any salt?
What do you taste in it? Any good flavors that you're tasting?
Lily just took her first bite if we want a live reaction.
Let's see it, Lily. What'd you think?
It tastes really good.
Tasted really good.
Hey, Lily, how much is your mom paying you to say that?
It's called free room and board, so she's paying quite a bit there, Mr. Karls. So, all right. So the kid reaction, I'm going to wait on that. I want them to get a few bites in to make up their minds. So we'll go back to them. What I'd like for us to focus on real quick is I'd love for us to focus on the presentation of the plate. Because, you know, obviously sitting down in front of the little ones, they just got to go at it. But I want to see some plate presentation. Mr. Karls, I'm going to start with you since your plate was done first. Mr. Karls, I'm going to pin your video for the team. Wow. Now, walk us through your meal here real quick, Mr. Karls.
All right, here we go. So in the background, we have the uncontested best bread in the world. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, you can hear me.
Yes.
Best bread in the world. Going clockwise, over here we got our green beans. Again, very traditionally seasoned, nothing special, nothing fancy. Just you get what you get, salt, pepper, and oil. Mm-hmm. Then next, we have the main meal. Now, again, like I said, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but we got a great browning that kind of took place in that cast iron pan. You don't get that browning from a Dutch oven. I'm sorry, Mrs. Koss, but it's just more important to get that dark cast iron pan out. And then I like to just put some garnish on it as well. You know, I put a little parsley on top. I got some basil leaves on the side. It just gives it that little like extra like good feeling as you're eating it. You just think, man, this looks fresh and yummy. And Lou just keeps eating as much as she can. And so like she really likes it. What are you asking to try, honey?
I will say, Mr. Karls, I am impressed with your ability to plate the food. Now, that is zero reflection of how it tastes, but it looks great on your plate. I love your use of multiple colors, both the greens and reds in contrast to the noodle and the bread. It looks wonderful. Additionally, I will say that the cheese you have topped said pasta with, it looks like you have not overdone it. And that looks incredible. Nicely done. I'd like a little bit of weigh-in from some of our live studio audience on how you, I'm sorry, Ms. Karls, what was that?
Comment on that really quick. Mrs. Koss said she has like fresh mozzarella or Parmesan, whatever she just said. It's really important to age your cheese as well.
You're solid.
So this cheese
anyway, cheese is already aged. That's what cheese is. Okay. Anyway, Mrs. Koss, I'm going to go to you, Mrs. Koss. I'm going to go to you, Mrs. Koss. I want to see your plate presentation, and I'd like for us to deliberate as a panel here, a live studio audience. I'm also going to look at some of our comments on YouTube, and this will give time for students to hop over there and comment. So, Mrs. Koss, walk us through your plate real quick.
Okay, so here is my plate with the baked spaghetti and meatballs and the Parmesan crusted garlic green beans. I typically don't serve a bread with a pasta dish because that's a lot of carbs.
It is a lot of carbs, yeah.
And I like to keep it simple and not overwhelm the plate. So you will notice.
Hey, bread is like the oldest food on the planet. Come on now.
And I can show Karls some of my Maillard encrusted meatballs from my Dutch oven, which is a cast iron enamel coated pot. Just putting that out there.
Coating.
So simple plate, simple is best. You see what you're eating, and there it is.
All right, so I've got currently viewing, I got Mr. Staton, Miss Grob, and Mr. Vanderbeck. Welcome to the party. It looks like Mrs. Wolff and Mr. Klasna have just stepped out for now, so we won't get any weigh-in from them. I'm going to mute Mr. Karls and Mrs. Koss, and I want to go to our panel and see what they have to say about the dishes that they've seen.
Well, I like Mrs. Koss's because everything on there I'm going to eat, right? Like, I don't really want to eat just like a whole sprig of basil. That might be a little strong, but they both look really, really pretty.
Yeah, I think I really enjoy, you know, Mr. Karls had lighter greens on his plate, like a lighter color. I really appreciate the dark green on Mrs. Koss, but it just looks, like it's hard.
Colors work well together.
They do work very well together. Additionally, the melted cheese over Mrs. Koss's bake, the presentation of the browning of that is absolutely beautiful. My mouth's watering right now. Mr. Staton, what do you think?
You know, I will say both presentations are absolutely phenomenal. They both look absolutely delicious. However, if we're, you know, having to choose one on here, it's one of those things. Now, we all know, I think, now Miss Koss is a wonderful cook. We all know she is. That looks wonderful. I am truly blown away by Eric's, actually, or by Mr. Karls. I was, and we'll throw it down to, it's all about the bread.
See, so if you're a bread fan, Mr. Karls' plate clearly appeals to you. Yes. Yeah, very good. Oh, Mr. Karls in the comment section, real quick, saying, can we have an unbiased host, please? You can't afford an unbiased host, sir. So you're welcome. Mr. Vanderbeck, how you doing today?
He looks a little foggy.
It's a little foggy. Is he there? I can't hear him. Oh, maybe his, oh, you know what? There's no little mic icon by his name either. So maybe he hasn't like allowed that. So I'm going to wait till that pops up. Don't worry, Mr. Vanderbeck. We're not going to, I don't want to just leave you behind. So maybe, I don't know. Dang it. Okay. Well, Do your best to figure that out, Mr. Vanderbeck. All right, so it sounds like we have a split in the decision between the two people I've talked to. Mrs. Grob prefers the presentation of Mrs. Koss's, while Mr. Staton prefers the presentation of Mr. Karls. I will say with Mr. Staton, I am very impressed with Mr. Karls' presentation, but I feel like there's a piece of it that all he did was put more on the plate to try and impress us. There's something really beautiful, ladies and gentlemen, in simplicity of plating. When I go to a restaurant, I don't need a busy plate with all this stuff just overflowing, like extra leaves of something I'm not going to eat. So I love the simplicity of Mrs. Koss's dish, but I would probably eat all of that as well. I'm going to go over to the comments real quick, and I'm going to look over here and say, I don't know why you're saying that. Okay, Aaron Tucker thinks Mr. Karl wins presentation. Someone just said, get me out of my fridge. Sorry, you're stuck in there, but not right now. You're gonna have to stay till this competition is at least over. What else do we have here? No one's really commenting on who. Mr. Karls win presentation. Another one for Mr. Karls. Someone said, I like burnt cheese. I'm with them. That seems like a vote for Mrs. Koss. Yeah, Madison Foreman. Yep, Mr. Karls' plate is overloaded. Oh, wow. Okay. Mr. Vanderbeck, we got you there yet? No, I don't see a little mic by your icon. All right. So maybe while we're waiting for presentation comments to come in, let's go to the children and see what they have to say. Let's start. Let's start with Mrs. Koss's children. Go ahead, take it away.
Well, I would just like to note that their plates are pretty empty already. And if we want some buy-in here, Miss Grob has had dinner with me multiple times, and she can attest to the length of time it typically takes my son to eat in particular. Dana, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, he never finishes his meat at least, and he ate all his meatballs. Good job, Brett. Yum. You should bring some of that to school tomorrow when we're over there. Yeah.
I have a ton. Don't worry.
Perfect.
Guess
Yeah,
I'm
covered.
going to school tomorrow. Okay, Mr. Karls, let's hear from your little ones. You're muted. Hang on. I'm unmuting you. You're good.
I'd like to just give just the kids the opportunity to tell us how they truly feel. So
I'm reading through them. Don't you worry.
So kids, tell me, how do you like your spaghetti? Is it good or bad?
Good. Good.
How good is it? Is it
Really
this good or this good?
This good.
You think it's this good, Lou? Why is it only this good? Oh, it's that good? Okay, why is that? What's your favorite part? What are those? Yeah, Silas, what's your favorite part? What's your favorite part?
Bean.
Okay, try a bean.
It was his favorite part and he didn't try it yet? Just
No,
saying.
that's a classic Silas move. He just follows whatever his sister does.
So, Mr. Karls, just so I'm clear on what just happened, your children's favorite part of the dish is not the main dish. I just need clarity on that. Is that what I'm understanding?
Look at that bite. That's my boy. That's my boy right there.
You really haven't answered the question though. Their favorite part of the dish is the side dish.
This is how you know how good it is. If you can get a 2-year-old to get that messy with a dish, you know it's a good dish.
2-year-olds are naturally that messy when they're not eating. So I don't know if that's a fair assessment of the quality of the dish. All right. As your host.
Mr. Hirshkorn, can we?
Yes.
So I will let my children talk as well
Yeah, that'd be great.
without any interference or guidance from myself. So kids, tell everyone your thoughts on the food. I'm not going to ask you anything. You just tell them what you thought of the food.
It tastes really good. It
And
has the best flavor. Not too salty,
Not too sweet.
That's a nice flavor.
And then tell them what was your favorite part of the food.
I really like the meatballs and the sauce.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Those were both things that Mom made from scratch, the things that were not from the store. Brett, what was your favorite part?
Well, my favorite part was maybe the meatballs.
You like the meatballs?
Yeah.
Can we just get a zoom in on my son here? And this plate? I think that's pretty telling right there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
It's really good to get all that sauce up off the plate.
That's where the bread would be nice. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's come that time to go through and announce a winner of this competition. It seems to me that 2 categories are undisputed in who won them. The first category being the time it took to finish the competition. Mr. Karls gets the check mark in that column. Now, because a 2-year-old said the best part of the meal was the side dish and not the main dish, I am going to give the check mark of quality food and kid reaction to Mrs. Koss, which puts us to plate presentation, which we have to look for in the comments. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have been tallying up as we go. And if you would all give me a drum roll, please, I will announce the third and final category and the winner of a vote of 2-1. Who wins this cooking competition? Drum roll, please. The winner of the 2020 Lockwood School Cookoff is Mr. Karls. With a vote to the comments on plate presentation, the audience has spoken, the people in the chat have spoken that Mr. Karls wins the presentation of the plate. Now, Mr. Karls, congratulations. We'd love to give you a few moments to gloat. I would just like to remind you that you won based on time and how your plate looked, not how it tasted, but here is your time, Mr. Karls.
As I chew on this bread and sweet, sweet victory, I can only think of just a couple things. One, I love my kids, and they are just the cutest. Just look at those guys.
Very good.
Number 2, everything I've learned cooking can be summed up in. Here, I'll go to a different room. Nope, you gotta wait.
Is it good? Did you like it?
Everything I've learned in cooking is from basically nothing. I don't know anything about cooking.
We know that.
But I just want to say thank you to everyone who decided to join and hang out. Here comes my kids again with the spaghetti face all over the couch. You guys are awesome. I'm super thankful that you guys came, and it's been fun. Thank you, Mrs. Koss, to joining me in this cook-off as well. I'd love to taste your spaghetti and meatball. I saw it. I will tell you, it looked delicious. Based off just blind taste test, like mine won, which just happens. But I'd love to try yours sometime. So maybe we could just have the families together. I could bring over my wife and kids, and you could make us some spaghetti and meatballs. I would just
do
love
that. So, are you going to be at school tomorrow, Karls?
Yeah.
I will also be at school tomorrow.
I know where this is going.
Mr. Hirshkorn, would you like to be a unbiased and Miss Grob taste tester of our leftovers tomorrow?
Yes.
Just putting that out there.
Yes, I would love that.
I would like to know why you left out some of our other hosts. Why not Mr. Staton or Mr. Klasna or Mr. Vanderbeck even down here with his fuzzy screen?
Safely social distancing. So he would not be available, but I am happy to bring
whoever would like a piece that will be at school tomorrow.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. This has been a delight to be your host. Teachers, thank you for joining us at this live event. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, I don't know if it'll be the last cook-off we do, but we will have more hopeful events coming your way like this for the last couple weeks of school.
I just
to
saw
have
it in the
fun.
comment section. Team Salty.
Yeah. Team Salty. Yeah, great. That's great. Okay.
Thank
Now,
you, Hannah. I don't know who you are, but thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thank you, teachers. Keep an eye on Mr. Karls' Google Classroom page for more stuff like this. It was really fun to be able to interact with you, to watch your comments, to talk to you. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe and practicing social distancing and listening to our healthcare officials. That's really good because that keeps us all safer and healthier. Any final comments from our teacher section?
Mr. Hirshkorn,
miss
what
all.
do you
We
miss
miss all.
most
Oh, I just miss being around
about
everyone.
school?
Yep.
I miss being around both my peers, teachers around me, and my students.
I'll say I absolutely totally miss teaching the kids in person. And I know the kids, it's rough for the kids out there too, trying to do the stuff online as well. But it's also hard for us looking at a computer all day long. I'd much rather be in front of you, waving my arms around. Yeah, it's super hard. We're all trying our best here too. Thanks to all the kids who are putting forth their effort as well. And so
Yeah, this computer stuff is super fake. Like, I'm not even wearing real pants. I'm wearing pants, but not real pants. See?
Yep.
Just
It
like
was all a lie. Ms. Grob, what do you got for us?
Oh, I just miss the projects I could do with the kids at school. Like, that's the best part. We would be doing paper mache and perler beads now, and we just have to do what we can on the computer. But yeah, I miss everybody at school, seeing them every day. Tomorrow when I go in and I get to see some people, that's the best part of the week.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, if you're there, wave your hand.
Keep going. What if that's just like a stock image that he put up to like
I know, what is
say
it?
he was here?
It's so good.
All right. Since I am the host, you want me to stop the live stream, Mr. Karls?
Yes, let's stop
Okay.
it.
All right,
Okay.
everybody. Good luck and Godspeed. Take care. Be good. Bye.